Hi guys, Dave here from Wolf in the Wild Survival with a really useful plant. I don't know if I've covered this plant before. If I did, it was a long time ago and it probably wasn't all that complete. I probably did like kind of a partial video doing something else. So I wanted to take the opportunity and get this done today because I found a whole bunch of wild bergamot growing all around the area that I'm in right now. Wild bergamot is a member of the mint family, and let's just we really like the mint family because there are no toxic mint species. So here we have the flowers. Leaves. The leaves are very typical of most mint species, but they're probably a little bit more like lance-like or sort of arrowhead spearhead type. And naturally, this might be kind of hard to see on camera, because it's a member of the mint species, it's got a square stem. Only members of the mint species have a square stem. So it makes it really easy to identify them, at least as a broader sense, as being some sort of mint. And like I say, there's no toxic mint. One of the best uses for bergamot is it's a very good insect repellent. I'm not being, I mean, it's early in the morning, it's a little bit chilly, there's not a lot of bugs out right now, but on my way here, there's some mosquitoes that, kind of, tried to get at me, whatever. Standing in this patch of bergamot right now, I'm not having a problem with mosquitoes biting at me or whatever. So having them around is definitely beneficial for keeping away insects. But one of the best is you take a handful of the leaves and you kind of rip them and crush them up a little bit, get them, and then you just take that and you give it a good rub wherever you have some exposed skin, and that's got a fairly powerful smell, and it's not really a minty smell, kind of, but not as much as most other mints that I've done videos about. And now I have a completely safe and natural insect repellent that I don't have to worry about making sure that I wash off as soon as I possibly can because of toxic chemicals and whatnot. So that is something that's really good. And it's not as effective as an insect repellent as like a lot of the sprays with DEET in it, but it's still pretty darn good. So it's for children, I would recommend it, and for your animals. You don't want to spray any of that stuff on your dog or whatever while you're camping, because they're gonna like lick it off, and that's not good for anybody at all. That's really bad. So what you can do is you take a bunch of the leaves, stems, just, whatever, and make a tea out of it, but make it really, really, really strong. A really strong tea, and then you put it in a little spray bottle, and you spray that on your dog when you're out camping. The wild bergamot isn't going to bother the dog. I don't know if you're a cat person. Catnip is a member of the mint family. If you spray it on your cat and they get a little loopy, maybe that might act somewhat catnip-like. I honestly don't know. I just know that catnip is mint family and it makes cats kind of stoned. So, I don't know. Maybe. But it's good for your dog. It's good for your kids. It's good for you. It doesn't have any of that gross, toxic chemicals in it. And it's still a really good insect repellent. All parts of this plant that are aerial are edible just fine, raw or cooked. They're mostly useful if you make like a good tea out of them. You can drink the tea to like settle your stomach, to help with allergies. You could use the tea to like gargle if you have like a sore throat. All mint is pretty much good for that. You can, wash like cuts and scrapes and wounds and whatnot, and it's got like an astringent kind of quality to it, so it'll help stop bleeding and some minor abrasions and whatever. If your kid's running around, he falls down, scrapes his knee, or maybe she goes running down the dock and like wipes out on the dock before she hits the water, you just take a little of the strong tea and you use it to clean up and whatever, and it kind of helps that whole kind of thing. It's got some healing properties to it. Most mint kind of help with that. Self-heal or heal-all is a member of the mint family, so it's got some minor qualities for that. It's generally a fairly useful plant for cooking as well, like a pot herb or whatever. It's got sort of like an oregano thyme kind of flavor. It's got a bit of a bite to it, like peppermint. It really bites. Probably more oregano than thyme, but it's not totally oregano. But you can put it in salad raw. You can cook it into soups and casseroles and kind of whatever. And like I say, it's got that sort of peppery kind of taste to it, so it'll add a lot of flavor. A little goes a long way when you're cooking with this stuff. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of any toxic lookalikes that you could mistake wild bergamot for. They may be out there. In my area, I can't think of any off the top of my head. And I mean, like a lot of the time in my comment or in my videos, when I say, "Oh, this is kind of a rare plant or tree or whatever in my area," people come on and they're like, "Whoa, what are you talking about? They grow all over the place, blah blah blah." In my area, okay, I can't stress this enough at this point. And I'm not complaining about your comments or whatever. It's in the area that I am used to, that I know the plants in. If you live in Arizona, if you live in Texas, if you live in India, if you live in Russia, I don't know, wherever, if you live somewhere that I don't, there may very well be a toxic lookalike, and this plant might actually grow there. And you really should know the difference. Before you mess around, start using it, you really should know the difference. And I'm stressing this at this point because I don't want anyone to get injured or killed or whatever. So, be proficient. Please, don't go messing yourself up over one of my videos or something that I said. In my area, I'm not aware of, at least off the top of my head, any of plants that would harm you that look like wild bergamot. There are a few harmless plants, even useful plants, that could be mistaken. And one of those is the giant ironweed. Now, this is kind of a newer plant. It's still early summer. But believe it or not, this is giant ironweed. It's just a small version of it. So I'm gonna get one of these. I've got this. I'm gonna come closer to the camera and I'm gonna go over this. Okay, giant ironweed is a beneficial plant, and I don't know if I have a video on that or not. To be honest, I'm gonna have to double check, and if I don't, I got another video to do. Okay, on the surface, just a quick glance, you might think that giant ironweed is wild bergamot from a little bit of a distance because the flowers, okay, there's your giant ironweed and there's your wild bergamot. The flowers are somewhat similar. Just, I mean, cursory. They are a little bit similar, so if you see them from a distance, you might think, hey, wild bergamot. You run over and you realize it ain't. And one of the best ways to know that, right off the top, is this really bulbous, hard, like part of the flower that bergamot just doesn't have. Obviously, the giant ironweed isn't part of the mint family, so it doesn't have a square stem. Bergamot is, and it does have a square stem, but it's just so much easier to walk up to the plant and, oh, that's giant ironweed. Or, you know, just look at the flower and realize, it's close, but not quite. But that's your best way of knowing that's giant ironweed, not bergamot, without, you know, ripping the plant up or, you know, bending down too far or, you know, kind of whatever, you know, for old guys like me. So yeah, it's a useful plant. It won't hurt you, but it's not wild bergamot. If you take the leaves and you dry them out and they're all like crunchy, crinkly, you know, kind of whatever, and you save those, sort of like a loose leaf tea kind of idea, but you don't make it into a tea. If you have a headache and you use the dried leaves and you kind of rub them around your head, it helps to alleviate a headache. If you happen to have a fever and you rub those leaves like pretty much all over your body, it helps with a fever as well, and it helps to alleviate cold symptoms. So if you have a fever or a cold and you rub dry leaves just sort of all over your body, it actually does help alleviate the symptoms of a cold or a fever. If you have like a sore, it also, like, you could sprinkle, you know, crush them up real good, sprinkle it on. It'll kind of help alleviate a bit of the pain and whatnot. It's kind of soothing if you have a sore. It's really no substitute for certain other plants that help with stuff like that. But I mean, in a pinch, it'll do until you can get something like yarrow or white man's foot, broadleaf plantain. It's just super useful to have some dried plant around your camp or your trailer or your house or, you know, whatever, for when you don't have access to, you know, like a drugstore, fast medical aid, whatever. eating the plant raw, either in a salad or by itself, or whatever, or drinking a tea. It's really good for nausea and vomiting, and it was used a lot to help with flatulent colic. I would imagine, like, if you're nausea, vomiting, kind of whatever, you would want to make a tea out of it, and sort of take small sips at a time and not overdo it so you don't vomit it all back up. But even just chewing on the leaves and swallowing the fresh plant will help with nausea, vomiting, and with flatulent colic. Early settlers used it a lot for that, especially the whole flatulent thing. It's got a very calming kind of effect for the digestive tract. Now, this is a very aromatic plant. The flowers can be used to make tea, just like the rest of it, but it'll have a more aromatic kind of quality to it than if you just use dried leaves. The flowers are really, really good for that. Some people add it to vinegar to give their vinegar that really herbal kind of punch to it, and that aromatic quality. Some people may add it to oils as well, which actually it's used in essential oil sometimes, but if it says bergamot, it might not actually be bergamot. But if it says bee balm, then it almost definitely is bergamot. Bergamot is called bee balm. It's called horse mint, I believe. It's probably got other names that I'm not aware of in other regions that I've never been to where it grows. It's a very, very, very potent aromatic plant. You could, what do you call that? Potpourri. You could use it like a potpourri. One of those things that you get from Scentsy or whatever, and you just, you take like the stem, the leaves, the flowers, the whole thing, chop her all up, you put it in a little thing of water, maybe a little bit of oil in it, and light a tea light candle underneath, and it's like one of those kind of calming essential oil kind of things. Now, I gotta be honest, I don't know how essential oils really are, as I've never used one, so how essential could they possibly be? It's kind of a weird name, to be honest. Okay, so I just wanted to touch on something because I just got this plant. I'm gathering some as I do this video because I want to take it home, dry it out, and use some of it as well. And I just cut this plant, and the stem on this one is a whole lot thicker, a whole lot bigger, and probably a whole lot easier to see on camera than the first time. So I just wanted to show you guys that again. So the stem is hollow and just very, very square. And yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that, just because I found like a really, really robust plant here that's much thicker. I'm gonna add this to my bag of bergamot. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, I think. Anybody who's interested in using it as a pot herb to cook with, kind of whatever, there's a whole bunch of like different recipes that you can find, on the internet, that will, it'll teach you how to make like a pesto, or what do you call it? Like a salad dressing, vinaigrette salad dressing, all kinds of stuff. There's a ton of recipes online from like, the olden days where it used to be used a lot. And if you're interested, then yeah, definitely jump on and have a look, because this thing is such a useful plant. And it's so surprising to me that people nowadays don't really have like herb gardens. They don't go out and collect a little bit of food to add to the food that they buy at the grocery store. That was just something that was done back in the day. I mean, that's partially how I got to learn about wild edibles. Is I'm a Generation X. Back when I was a kid, summertime would hit, school would end, my parents would basically just kick me out of the house, and I would run around with my friends. I'd run around through the woods with the dogs, some wild animals even, actually. I kind of made a few friends. And, you know, blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, you know, all kinds of wild apples and pears and sheep sorrel and wood sorrel and just all the different wild edibles that I learned about when I was a kid that got me into learning more and more and more. If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be the fat dude standing in front of you right now. So it's just so weird to me that people don't wild collect even a little bit of food to add something really, really tasty and power-packed with nutrients and whatnot to their food they buy at the grocery store. So have a look at some of the recipes. I guarantee there's going to be at least one that you want to try. And if you do, jump into the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what it is you tried. Let me know what it is that you ate. And, you know, let me know. Because, I mean, there's probably a bunch of recipes I haven't even tried. And, I don't know. I mean, if you let me know and it's something that I might, you know, think that might be interesting, I'll jump on and I'll give it a try myself, and I'll shoot a comment back to you. So that's what we have today, guys. Until the next video, stay wild.